Sunday at the lab, the Bedford rebuild continues. You saw earlier on, it's being used as a bench now, eh? The front got painted, so that's all beautiful. That looks really nice. It looks better on camera, to be honest. The colour looks really cool on camera. So there's some more of that happened. All down here is all painted now. Inside here, all that there is all painted. Obviously, the painting stops just here. Inside there is all nice and good, and I've done enough of the door. This will probably get carpet on it anyway, and this has some sort of a cupboardy, shelfy type whatever. It had a cupboard in there with shelves before. It'll be something similar going in there. We've got a bit of a rubby-dubby going on somewhere. I think maybe it touches up the top there. Yeah, I need to nudge that out of the way a little bit. It's easy, and I'm not worried about that paint because all the guttering is all getting painted again when the big piece up here happens. You know, the bit that stops the sky being part of the van. Tailgate painted. Tailgate was a disaster. There's a lot of crap in that paint because I thought I was being clever and had it lying horizontal to paint it, but what happens then is all the dust settles on it and it's not good. It's not good. Speaking of not good, yeah, this is not good. This is the bonnet. This is why they rust from the inside. It's because they don't have any paint on them from the factory on the inside. Well, maybe they do, but it's not enough, you know, there's some there. And so it doesn't matter what you do on the outside, they just fizz away from this side and blow out that way. So I've got that all separated. I didn't take it apart carefully, I just hacked it up. The frame is not bad. The frame is rooted in a normal vehicle sense, but you're not going to find one a hell of a lot better. So this one's up for a repair. Look at all the crud that sits in between the two skins and just makes it rot. It's just the way they're designed is just yuck. So I'm going to make that new from, I'm trying to do this with one hand, from here down is going to be, I'll put a new piece in there and we'll be most of the way there. The frame will be pretty good at that point. There's a couple of little areas somewhere I saw, wherever it was, that will need a little bit of work. Oh, it's easy to see it now, isn't it? That's, I mean, you could just actually fill in those holes with a welder. You don't need to replace a great big piece. A little section here needs doing. And the frame will be good. I think that was me that did that, but I'm not certain. Probably was, trying to save it without having the time to go into it as far as it needed to go to fix it. Got some steel, got some time, got some ambition, skills, I don't know, do I have any skills? And so let's see if we can fix it. I talked about putting that away in the previous video and I didn't, and now I needed it. Obviously this bonnet has a curve on it as per the, oh look at that, oh! That's not finished obviously. That's not finished because I didn't want to finish that until I made sure it fitted the bonnet properly, and to make the bonnet fit the van properly it needs to fit that and it needs to fit the van, and what we've got here is clearly rusty, crusty and deformed and can't be trusted, so kind of have to figure it. And so was this was damaged, this has had impact damage here. I think that's the right shape. It's the best that I can guess at anyway. So, and then this has had, I don't know if it shows up very well on the camera, I'll be careful with it so I don't distort it. There you go, that's got a benderization going on there. Watch me drop this and scratch the brand new paint and go, oh yeah, it's scratched. That fits that very nicely, probably better than the original parts fitted with the original parts. There's some shonkiness in these things when they made them. So that goes there. like that-ish, somewhere around there. It's too short because my folder's only 1220 and this is 15 something by the time it goes around the curve. It's it makes a lot of difference because that sheet that I've got there, that's long enough to fit the bonnet in lengthwise, but if you try and go around the curve, it's not long enough. Interesting, eh? Geometry for you. So I'm going to now, I'm going to make a couple of pieces for the ends to make it long enough, but they're just going to be a straight section that'll just get spliced in. So I'm going to cut this off, get rid of all the electrogalv off here, and sit there for 50 million hours and weld that whole piece onto what's left of the bonnet frame. If that was a Bugatti part and it had some real historical value to it, then yeah, you can salvage that. Realistically, stuff that. This is good. This is good. It's not finished, it's not fixed, it needs a couple more things, but it's the right shape and it fits on the van properly when it's not leaning up against the van. I know, all that brand new paint underneath there, right? It's leaning against the grill that's not finished and is also stuffed and needs redoing. But I've made a start. We have the beginnings of a bonnet happening. It's the edge along the front there. My folder's only 1220. Look at Drew Blood, meanie. So we have to, and this is like 1560 or whatever it is, so we have to stitch a little bit on the end. Boo-hoo. And started wheeling up a piece of the bonnet. Not the whole bonnet, obviously. It's too big and too cumbersome to deal with. This is the full length of it, right? So to deal with all that single-handedly, it's too hard. If I had an apprentice and we had a lot more space, then yeah, we could. So it's just the way it is. And there's actually a little bit of method in the madness here anyway. I've got the other piece somewhere. There it is. Which way around does that go? There we go, that's fixed. That goes on there like that. And there's a bit missing in the middle, isn't there? Why is there a bit missing in the middle? Why couldn't you make that in one piece? Well, because that bit that's missing in the middle is going to be this bit here. The bit that I wanted to delete, wifey said, no, that's what makes it a Bedford bonnet. Okay, all right, well, I don't want to make that piece, and that piece is actually in reasonable condition. So I'll chop that out when I've got everything else done. These are we're getting as far as these black lines here with 4 pieces basically. One across the bottom that's actually 2 bits, plus that. So we're kind of halfway there once I stitch that other piece on. These other bits of the back, piece of cake, really quite flat. These aren't. These are absolutely stuffed. You can use whatever colourful language you want, but there's no saving that. That's done. And this is rusted out and it's done anyway. It tried to bite me just then. Silly boy touching it. It nearly drew blood again. Right, so I'm going to fire the welder back up. Actually, what I'm going to do, I've got a clever trick if you're interested. If you're a fabricator, you can, or you want to be a fabricator, you can figure out where your thing needs to be, right? Leave a little bit on the edge, clamp it there like that. On this side, clamp it here, and then get your cut-off wheel and run right along the edge of that. It doesn't matter if you take a little bit off this while you're cutting off the excess of there. And then when you take the tool away, you'll have a perfect 1 millimeter gap the entire way along the width of your cut-off disc. And it won't matter if it's wobbly like this. It could be anywhere, all over the place. If you follow the edge of that with the cut-off disc perfectly, that will then just butt up against it with no gaps, and then you can do most of your welding with no filler rod at all, just butt welding like that. The little bumps are the tacks that I put to get it all lined up. There was a bit of a gap in the middle here, so there's like 3 little sections that had filler rod, and the rest of it's just butt welded with no filler at all. And everyone will be like, man, not enough penetration, man, you can't weld like that. Well, yeah, you can. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Not bad. It's not a structural component, it's a panel, and it's actually really nicely flush. A bit of a buff with the grinder, the flappy disc rather, and that will be rock solid, man. That'll be awesome. A little bit of a hammer and dolly just through here. I can feel it's a little bit high. So I mean, we'll have half a bonnet done today. My plan was to now test fit that on the van, make sure we've got everything honky-dory, but it'll be good. Hey, look, it fits, sort of. A couple of things to fix. It sort of looks like the curve is a bit flat on probably that end. Doesn't quite look like it's the proper Bedford shape. It's obviously, I've just kind of thrown it up. It's not actually sitting in exactly the right spot because there's a massive duvet under the bulk of it. The sheet isn't going to change things. That's very, very thin. Yeah, I think a bit more curve that way and maybe a little bit more that way, which I can still add. That's not a problem. Yeah, it's a good start. Everyone's like, oh, you've only got half the bonnet. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. There's the welding here. You should be able to see my hands not wobble. It's all pretty smooth. Spray putty will fix that. Won't need any bog for that. That'll be spray putty able. That'd be good, wouldn't it, actually, to have the bonnet with no bog whatsoever. Just spray putty and spot putty. That'd be nice. Right, it is, it's after 5 o'clock. I've just about had enough for Labour Day? Ironically, and I'm working away on this thing for $0 because it's our own. Right, yeah, I'm gonna do one or two more things. I can probably figure out where this, what are we going to call it, panel doofer, it's dawdle, figure out where its dawdle ends up. Obviously these two are not centered, didn't have to be, it doesn't matter. Chop out a piece, fabricate a bit to go in, and then have the dawdle from there up, and yeah, there'll be a name for it. It's a ridge, isn't it? That's what it is. It's a center line ridge, yeah. Anyway, magic. It's not perfect yet, obviously, and it won't be probably when I'm done with it, but it's already actually better than what the original one was. This side's nicer. Yeah, it feels a lot better. That side's got a bit of a doink there. I probably shrunk it a bit too much there and it's raised it up there. Not actually a problem at all. It's missing a bit. I probably could have made that if I felt like it. I'm not going to stroke that anymore. It looks a little bit phallic-like. Yeah, I think the dog's trying to tell me it's dinner time, so that'll do for today. Just giving you a little bit of time to admire the beauty of it all. Beauty. That looks pretty good, actually. That's not bad. I'm aware of the things that need sorting out on it, so don't worry, it's not finished. There's a bit of a hollow on both sides, just down through here. That's sort of about that shape there. The skin's not attached to the frame yet. That's on both sides, it's the same. You might sort of see it with the lighting, perhaps, maybe not. You definitely would once you put paint on it, I think. So I need to raise this general area here. It's a little bit high there compared to there. No big deal. The rest of it's pretty good. Pretty good. I've lowered the very bottom edge of it just a tiny bit from where it is normally, because they normally have a very, very big panel gap in between those. And in hindsight, I should have left it because the grill is a disgusting mess, and it just makes that look worse. Maybe not so much from this angle, but you can, it doesn't look that bad on camera, I guess. Yeah, it does. Looks a bit over that side's quite big, and there where that filler is there, you can see that whole grill has been munted. So I think I'll get the hammer and dolly out and deal with it. All the bog will come back out, the filler, not that there's a lot on there, and square it all up nicely. It was impossible to compare that grill to the other bonnet that was absolutely stuffed, and we were waiting to see if we could get a better one than what we had, and we couldn't. So I made a new skin, right? It's a new skin, and we've just retained the trim line there, panel line in the middle. So we've got some headlights coming, some LED headlights, that'll be cool. And I need to hurry up and order windscreen rubber for it. We've got 2 windscreens, so we'll pick the best one, we'll put that in. When the weather tidies up a little bit, I'll get those doors that are in the background there, get those painted, get those on. These 2 windows, the next 2 along here in the blue, those can go in. And we're not far away from being able to seal it up, sort of. I've got a plan, figured out exactly what I'm doing with this whole gutter arrangement, and I need to do some measuring on the roof and draw some pieces up and get them ordered and get them underway. I suspect it'll be a week or 2 before we'll see those. Should tie in nicely depending on the weather with everything else that is going on. I'll be able to finish off everything underneath the van, and it won't need to go on the hoist again after that, hopefully. So, because once the roof goes on, the roof's up here somewhere compared to the rest of the van, and it crashes into the ceiling there, so you can't actually get this thing very high off the ground. Looks good, eh? I should take a mould off that and do a carbon fibre bonnet. I think that'll look awesome. Do a carbon fibre grille and headlight surrounds. They go really good with our LED headlights. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And if you want to see the videos before everybody else sees them and support the channel a little bit, you can be a channel member. Just hit the join button there and pay next to nothing. Alright, it's raining quite hard. Nearly hail. And yeah, stubborn things. Alright, cheers boy. If you thought I was finished for the video, you'd be wrong, and that's my fault because I told you I was, but not quite. Dragged out the English wheel. Yep, got wifey to give me a hand. It's a bit too, what's the word? It's a bit too tricky to pick up that whole thing and wheel it around in the machine without too much weight on it in the wrong places and creating wobbles and bobbles and distortions and yucky stuff. So with the skin off the frame, chucked it in the English wheel and gave it a bit more shape in the appropriate areas. It's all very curvy and very nice now. Maybe a little bit too much curve there, not enough there perhaps. It does actually change quite a lot when you put it, yeah, it's a bit flat there. It does change quite a bit when you put it in the frame. That pulls tension on it. In fact, if we stand in the right spot, check the reflection of the light there. You see there's something a little bit funny there. Just dips off. Not quite right anyway. It's now mounted on its frame. Well, it's on the frame temporarily, and it's mounted on the hinges in the vehicle temporarily, just to check that we've got all this stuff pretty good. We're a tiny little bit high just through here. Nothing a hammer won't fix. The rest of that I'm going to call perfect. So just tap that down just a wee bit there. Through to about here. So there to there. That's good, 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 good. That needs sorting out. That's not quite right there. A little bit of hammer and dolly work to go on there. Now here's the interesting thing. This skin was made to fit onto that frame perfectly, and look at this gap opening up. Bigger and bigger and bigger as it comes, and then it goes closer and closer and closer. That's the old CF Bedford quality for you. This side, pretty good. A little bit harder to see because of the tape. In fact, it might tighten up a little wee bit towards the top there, but you can't, of course, twist the whole thing like that to make it fit here. because then all the gaps at the front and everything else that needs to line up here all turns to custard. So I'll fiddle. I will shift this edge here, just whatever that is, 3 millimeters or something. Shouldn't be too hard to do, and thankfully they make something called bog, so we can fix it after. Now, that might be why they leave a 10 millimeter gap under there, I suppose, because you can't open this damn thing now. Excuse me, mate. Popping through the inside there. Can I do that? I can't even do that. That's something to consider. And I can't just run my fingers along that edge because it'll cut me. With 2 hands, this is a lot easier. There we go. So now I've opened it. And do for the doofer, or it'll fall down. So there you go. It's mounted. These are very flat, pretty good. Flappy wheel through that will make all that basically disappear by the time you put primer on. So you won't see those 2 joins there. And the other ones are kind of tucked away. Everything else is just a case of clamping it all together and getting it all in the right spot. That comes, believe me, it does come together when you put a clamp on it. That's the piece that I made that's attached to the frame not being quite right for what the shape of the skin is, which is right for the van. There you go. Yeah, what I said before about like, share, subscribe and blah blah, channel member, blah 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 blah. Headlights are coming, wifey's gone to get them right now. Cheers, boy.